let's talk to Michael real quick. Well,
all right. Go ahead and talk to Michael.
Hey, Michael, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're just going through the panel now. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna mute you out, and we're gonna talk to Bill Rafter, and we also have Bill should be coming back in. So.
All right, Bill Rafter's live.
All right. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Hey, Richard, I'm doing fine.
Good, good. Well, I'm so happy that you volunteered to join us tonight.
Well, I'm happy to be here. You know, it's been a long time since we chatted, so...
Yeah, how many boot camps have you been to, Bill? Of mine.
I've been to them all.
I've been to
at least a couple times. You know, I mean, I've been to the ones that some of the ones you don't even do anymore. You know, I have 5-figure paycheck in the program before that. You know.
Well, that's awesome. So, go ahead and tell us what's working best in your business. If you want to give people a little background or whatever, but go ahead and let us know what you're doing in your business. What's working best for you?
Sure. Just a quick background. You know, I'm in the Central Kentucky area, and we still do a few short sales, but we're expanding into other areas. You know, just for cash flow purposes and things like that. So. What we're focusing on right now is, first of all, the U.S. leads list is a great list. I mean, we get it every quarter. And so I'm actually drafting up an offer tonight, you know, utilizing a cash offer and, you know, 2 offers utilizing the ultimate strategy formulas. So we've got that going out tonight, and we'll be meeting with the seller probably tomorrow or the next day. So we get probably about 90 leads in this area, and we're getting, using your yellow letter, we're getting probably somewhere between a 13 and an 18% response with the yellow letter. What we do is we go ahead and, because it's only 90, I mean, we actually handwrite the letter, and we write it in red ink, and then we put it in an invitation envelope, and we don't seal it. We just tuck it in like we used to do in the old days for Christmas cards, and put a little label on the back flap and handwrite the envelope and put a decorative stamp on the front. And it goes out to folks, and we get a significant response. And, you know, out of all the calls we probably get, so far we've had probably about 9 or 10 people that we're going to actually go out and visit them personally and look at the house and things like that. So we'll probably do 1 to 3 deals out of that.
So you'll meet with 9 to 10 people, and you do 1 to 3 deals.
Right.
And what list are you targeting?
Yeah, this is the U.S. leads list. They're all free and clear properties.
And they only give you, on a quarter, you only get about 90? Is that right?
Right. Well, it just depends on the area. In our particular area, it averages somewhere between 90 and 100 people every quarter.
Okay. All right.
And so anyway, we'll go out, and we generally do the 3 offer scenario where we offer them, make a cash offer on a wholesale basis, and then we give them 2 offers utilizing the ultimate strategy formula. And often what happens is they'll look at the 2 ultimate strategy offers and maybe come back to the cash offer. So, but we have I did one not too long ago where the lady didn't really want cash; she wanted the ultimate strategy formula, and that was just a dynamite deal because we actually assigned that to one of our investors because we needed some cash then. Anyway, on that particular deal, he bought the property, he turned around and resold it on a rent-to-own, and made about a $30,000 spread on there, got $5,000 cash down, and he's going to make probably $55,000 on that deal over the next 5 years, because of the zero-interest financing and the rapid paydown on the mortgage.
Right.
So he's just ecstatic. He loves those deals. So that was just simply a great deal. So I mean, a combination of the Ultimate Strategy and the U.S. Leads List is just, really a great, great strategy, because those are real quality leads that you get.
Yeah, it's the ultimate strategy. So,
yeah.
Bill, you're flipping some deals, right?
Right. So the other thing that we're doing is we found a niche market where these are leads that probably all of us at one time or another just kind of either ignored or just threw these deals away. And what we found is, a lot of the for sale by owners and, a lot of the properties that people are trying to rent just on a straight rental basis, they're over-leveraged. I mean, you've got people that still have a decent job and they have the ability to make payments, but they're generally, upside down on the property, and they just can't get rid of them. They've tried, in a lot of cases, their expired listings and things like that. So the only thing they can do is try to sell them on some sort of a terms, or sell them as a straight buy owner and see if they can at least get out of them. And so what we've been doing is lease option wholesaling. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do is we'll actually we'll go on one of the for sale by owner websites, and we'll send an email, like owners.com or one of those, and we'll send an email to all of the target properties that are in the median price range, which here is about 150, and we'll say, we noticed that your property is for sale. Would you consider selling your property on a rent-to-own basis rather than just selling it? Or we'll go to the properties that are being listed in the newspaper for rent, and we'll ask them, either by phone or voice blast or by email, we'll go, would you consider doing a rent-to-own on your property rather than just renting it? And so out of every, about every three that we market to, we'll pick one up. And what we do on those is we'll go out, to a seller, and in a lot of cases we can do it over the internet, but we'll meet with a seller and look at the property, and we'll have them sign a lease option agreement that gives us the right to market the property. And generally, if the price is reasonable and the rent's reasonable, we'll go with their numbers. So the benefits to the seller is they get, the amount of money that they wanted for rent, or if they agreed to rent it to us instead of lease option it to us instead of trying to sell it, then we'll agree on a rental agreement price, and we'll also agree on a sales price, and then we'll turn around and we'll market it to our buyers list and put one of our rent-to-own buyers in there. And then the way we get paid is we get the option fee, and the seller's already agreed to that up front. So we collect somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 from the buyer. The buyer gives us cashier's check, and then the first month's rent goes to the seller. So we'll bring a qualified rent-to-own buyer to the seller. They get the first month's rent, and they get the application and the agreement that's completed, and then we'll reassign the agreement back to the seller, and the seller now has a rent-to-own tenant in their property. We've collected our fee, and we're totally out of the deal.
And what type of disclosures do you make to the seller about your intention to assign your lease option agreement? Or actually,
well, it's right in the agreement that we're operating as principals. We're not real estate agents, and that our intention is to find a qualified lease option buyer for the property and reassign the agreement back to them. And as part of the agreements, we have a disclosure agreement that we use, and an assignment agreement, and all the appropriate paperwork that allows us to do that.
And how well do you pre-qualify your tenant buyers?
Well, what we do is, we're set up to have them go and get pre-qualified with a mortgage broker, or in some cases, we'll go ahead and run the credit ourselves. We've got a couple investors that we do business with, and he'll run their credit just to see where they're at, and also verify their employment. And sometimes we only take it to that level, but if we're dealing with somebody that I don't know, then I'll bring them to a mortgage broker and have them pre-qualified and give us an idea how quickly they think that this person might be able to qualify for a loan. And generally, it's going to be somewhere between 1 and 3 years.
Yeah. So your lease option is it 1 year with the right to extend 3 times?
Generally, because the prices are so flat here, we're usually doing a 3-year lease option,
Okay.
giving the tenant buyer a $100 credit towards the purchase for each month that they pay their rent, or $3,600 at the end of 3 years, and then we'll go ahead and if they're not in a position to exercise the option, and they've been a real good tenant and they want the house, then a couple of the investors that we do business with, they'll actually roll the thing over into owner financing, that's compliant with the SAFE Act, and they'll go ahead and carry the financing for the next 15 years. So we've got several investors that have us, fill their properties for them, and they'll go ahead and actually finance the properties themselves after 3 years.
Okay. And so you don't have to worry about the SAFE Act when you're dealing with the tenant buyer up front, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And in our market, we've got an attorney that has worked on it for probably 6 months, and they figured out all the legal ways to get around the SAFE Act in our state.
Mm-hmm.
And very simply, what they do is they put it in a land trust, and with all the appropriate and approved paperwork. So we'll just submit the deal to them. They'll fill out all the paperwork and put it on all the legally approved forms, and then they'll send the deal back to us ready to go.
Mm-hmm. So are you selling the beneficial into a land trust, or just the fact that it's in a land trust?
Yeah, I mean, if we go ahead and after the 3 years we want to do owner financing, then we'll go ahead and assign the beneficial interest to the tenant buyer.
Right.
But the great thing about it, Richard, is they figured out a way that if the people don't make their payments after 30, 60, 90 days, whatever agreed to, they can default. They can go ahead and take the property back by getting the beneficial interest back without having to go through a foreclosure here.
Right. Right. Very good. Okay. And then you're dealing with sellers, people that are looking to rent or sell their property. You're asking them if they'll do a rent to own, and then you tell them basically, there's not enough here for me to do it, but I'll find someone to do it, and then we'll get paid by whatever they pay for, their option fee.
Right, that's exactly it. What we have here is generally we have, for whatever reason, it's a property that's just not saleable, to a retail type buyer, or in a lot of instances, and this is especially a dynamite technique. I mean, I know folks that are using it in areas like Florida and California and Arizona, where everybody's upside down, and the seller still has a pretty good job, and they could make payments, and they're not really in a position where they want to walk away from their property and trash their credit for the next 10 years. And they also aren't in a position where they have, the $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 or more to cover the mortgage that's upside down. They're not really behind on the mortgage, so, it's going to be tough for them to do any sort of a short sale. So their best solution is just to hold on to the property, pay the negative cash flow, and wait out the market. So we've got some folks like that.
So here's a situation where the rents won't even cover the mortgage. But if you get a tenant buyer in there paying the market rent, that helps out the homeowner.
Without question, especially I know a couple guys doing it in California and in the Sacramento area, and just about all the payments there are somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. People really don't want to walk away from their property because they still have a decent job. They can only get maybe $2,000 in rent, and their payment's $4,000. So I got a buddy out there that's filling up the houses, and the seller figures it's better to pay $2,000 a month rather than coming up with $50 or $100 grand all at once. and they're willing to hold on to the property essentially and pay the negative cash flow to have a good tenant buyer in there, and just wait out the market, for 5 or 7 years until things turn around.
Okay, and then the tenant buyer is responsible for repairs. Is that right?
Right. The tenant buyer is responsible for repairs and all upkeep.
Okay.
So obviously they're going to go in, and the property has to be in decent condition. But we're finding that in our market, about 7 out of every 10 people cannot qualify for a conventional loan.
Sure.
So when you have a quality property out there, even if it needs some work, maybe it needs some cosmetic things, but it's not bad. We try to paint them and put new carpet in there, but we don't make them pristine. And in most cases, if they're clean and in decent condition, the folks will take them as is. And you can, we usually get somewhere between in our market, somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 on the median properties, and the rents are anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a month. And folks are able to come in, and they'll come up with their option money up front and take the property pretty much as is, and they're excited and happy to get a decent property because they can't get one anywhere else or any other way other than doing it on some sort of a rent-to-own situation.
Okay, so Bill, I got to move along here, but you're basically cashing in. You discovered a way to cash in on your non-deals, deals that you can't buy, right?
Right.
And you started doing that, and then you decided, well, heck, we'll actually do a marketing campaign to find these non-deals.
Exactly. So we're marketing for non-deals, and because we can take the cream of the crop, and if it's a really bad property or in an area that we just don't think we can handle, we'll just decline the property.
Yeah. So you'll find deals that you can buy, and you find these non-deals that you can basically make $3,000-$5,000 in cash. That helps your marketing, and then you're done with it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, once we assign the agreement back to the seller,
yep.
And we have the buyer, when we bring the contract in, we've already collected the cashier's check from the buyer. So we don't put ourselves in a situation where the buyer goes around our back or the seller tries to get with the buyer directly and cut us out. So we go ahead and make sure we get paid. And the sellers are happy because they get a good quality tenant and they get their property occupied.
We'll tell you what, we got a couple more panel members. So any final words on that? We'll probably come back to you with some questions, but any final words on what you just covered?
Yeah, I mean, just real briefly, the benefits to the seller is they get their property occupied, and they get full price, they get full market rent. The buyers are happy because they get into a property, with payments a lot less than they'd be paying probably if they bought it, and they're just, and we found that the quality of the buyers is excellent because these people are not, your normal tenants. These are people that have been owners in a lot of cases before, and they look at the property that they move in as their property, and so they take good care of it, and they become great tenant buyers for the sellers.
Excellent. That's great stuff, Bill.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, well, you're going to hang around, right?
I'll be here.
Okay, I want to go to Bill Schilling, and then I'm going to go to Michael Jake, and then we'll do some Q&A. Let's bring Bill in.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
All right. So we'll try to